Sober Sundays with Mike Mechow. We're at Flawed Media in Rockville Center. Once again, thank you to Jay holding us down. And I start, I think, every show by saying I have a special guest. This one tops the list. He doesn't know it yet, but he is a legend. And we have Izzy joining us. Hi, Izzy.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Now, you also listen to Sober Sundays.
Absolutely, all the time, every one of them.
And what are you bringing to the table today?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe a little bit of mellow sobriety. Mellow, I didn't really start off that, I never really went to any institutions or jail or had anything bad happen to me. The only time
Those are not requirements.
No requirements. The only requirement I had was a desire to stop drinking.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your story, because your story had a lot of abstinence at one point.
Yes. I had, well, you know, just to quote a saying from one of your first podcasts, one was the darkest before the dawn. What led up to the darkest before the dawn was when I started to go to college. I went to SUNY Farmingdale, and I packed my briefcase, and I was going to be a great artist over there, and I found out that I really actually sucked. But the good part about it was that they had a little bar on the campus there, and every time I left campus, I had a nice little drink or two, and on my way home, and that's about what started it.
You found the solution.
I kind of found the solution to being a failure, so to speak, and that led into taking a geographic location. I went to Florida for a year or so, partied up at Miami-Dade University with a couple of friends, and when I came back, I got myself a nice little job in shipping and import-export place. And that's where I discovered that my problem was not so much the drinking, because I did drink a little bit, wasn't so bad, but I realized the problem was me. We started drinking at 4 o'clock on a Friday. We got a bottle of liquor, and when the bell rang, let's say at 5 o'clock, everybody else left, and I stayed, and I brought the bottle home, and I continued to drink. And that's where the darkness really started.
Did you notice that you were drinking differently than some other people?
At that point, not so much. It took a little bit of time to realize, because actually the progression of my drinking, which really got bad, was when I started to work at a bar and restaurant in Atlantic Beach. I was a dishwasher. I was very lucky. I got myself a job. I got myself a job at 22 as a dishwasher in a restaurant, and that's where the drinking just completely took off.
And led you to eventually stop?
Well, it took many years to eventually stop. The progression went from bad to worse, and I made a few attempts to stop drinking. I made a few attempts at stopping with other drugs and with other things, and it didn't work out until finally I did decide to stop. And I, like you said before, you asked, yes, I stopped. I was untreated alcoholic for about 4 years or so before I actually got into the program.
What was that like for 4 years? Better?
Oh no, it was the worst thing ever. It was just torture. I thought that it was the drinking that really made me sick. I thought that it was the people that made me sick. It took me a long time to realize that it was me that made me sick.
So a disease that centers in the mind.
Disease centered right in the mind. I guess I was always asking for that little bit of something to keep me going. I always compare it to chocolate. Like, sometimes I just want something a little sweet. I know if I have one piece of chocolate, I'm going to eat 20 pieces of chocolate. And that's not going to make any solution, because then I have to eat salt after that, and then I have to eat bread after that. So the same thing with the liquor. I knew I shouldn't really be doing it.
So that brought you, after 4 years.
But after 4 years, the story is that I was living with someone and living with another alcoholic, and that alcoholic decided to become sober. And what happened was they had meetings at our house when we would go around and they would read. They would read from the big book, and they would tell stories, and they'd have coffee, and I would help serve the coffee. Now, at this point, it was still me that was messed up. I was still the fuck up. I was still the guy that was, I didn't have tolerance for these other guys. I thought that I was okay and they weren't, realizing indeed that I really was messed up.
Who are these sickos in my house?
Yeah, why are they here? But at one point they actually asked me, do I want to read? And I said, yes, I'll read with you guys. And for some reason, the spark took off. And from from that point on, I started going to meetings, and I got myself a sponsor, and I got commitments, and I started the ball rolling.
What year was that?
That was 1995.
And you've been sober ever since?
I've been sober ever since.
That's a very long time, Izzy.
Yes. Well, 1995 till maybe the 4 years after that was the untreated, but still, it was part of it.
So what does one do in this long period of time in sobriety?
Wow. Well, okay. So I went from, I told you I was a dishwasher. I went from a dishwasher to bartender to a waiter. And from there, that business went out of business. Thank God. That was an act of God, by the way. And my mom and my sister had a hold of me. Now, we always talk about family. My family was kindly disappointed with my behaviors, and they knew that I was going to probably try to get another job in this business of alcoholic torture, whatever, because I wasn't drinking, but I was working in these institutions. And they talked me into getting a job in the civil service area. So I did. I had gotten certified. I was a computer lab assistant in a local school district. And at that time, for the first time in my life, someone actually asked me for help. Someone asked me for help, and I was flabbergasted. I was amazed that they would do that. These are young high school kids, and from that point on, I don't know, once again, I think it was God-inspired. I went back to school, went back to college, got a couple of master's degrees, and I taught for 25 years.
Wow.
And now I'm retired, working 2 jobs.
So tell us a little bit about the journey of sobriety, the people you met, the relationships.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, you've been around for a long time, Izzy.
I've been around for a long. I'll tell you a quick story. One of my neighbors asked me for a ride to Point Lookout, and in the car we were driving along. And he said, "What is the best decade of your life?" And I think he was hinting, and he wanted to know if I was talking about my drinking and my drugging, because I had a good time. He knew me when he was a teenager, and he knew that I was the way I was. I said, Johnny, I said, the best decade of my life was the last 10 years. I said, the last 10 years of my life have been the best ever. I found good people in my life. I've been sponsoring people. I've been living with God. I've been having friends like you and like all these other guys at all these meetings. And I'm just in awe. I really am. I have a God-powered life. I love what I do. I work for a university, and I help others with getting certified as teachers. And then I work with another young man. I bring him to a school in a work-study program. And every day I have something to do that I could help somebody out with, and that's meaningful to me. The people in the only people I really hang out with that I really have a good time with are my family or my people from AA. With AA, I'll do anything and go anywhere if I can. We just had a great roller hockey tournament. My friend over here was the referee at some point, and he was in the game. His son was in the game. There were other guys in there. It was absolutely amazing. My family life is beyond belief. My sister calls me, my brother-in-law calls me, my other sister, either they'll ask for rides or information or advice about stuff. I babysit for my nieces and my nephews, my great niece and my great nephew, I should say. I help my neighbors out. I'm beyond happy.
Now, you're the type of person that doesn't seem to say no to anybody. So how does one, even though you're half retired or 3/4 retired, how do you do all these things and prioritize all these events and helping people and showing up?
Well, it's a good question, but you know what?
Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel busy?
No, not at all. Never. Because the people that ask me or tell me about these things are people that I really care about and the people that I want to be with. So there's always time in the day for somebody. I never, just for example, today I read with someone. I had to do, I was in school. I was in this high school that I bring this boy to. Came home. I had to do one little chore, and then I met up with someone. We read, and then we came here. And we still have stuff to do after this.
So what's been, if you could tell us, what's the most difficult things that in sobriety that you've had to face?
Oh, boy. Okay, the most difficult thing in sobriety that I had to face was the death of my mom, probably. But it was only because there was so much pressure on me to hold up the family. When my dad passed away, I was a young guy. I was really in the throes of alcoholism, and I was useless at that point of my life. When my mom passed away, I was able to bring my family together. We were able to take care of all the arrangements. We were able to take care of everything and anything that needed to be done. Any other? You said difficulties, right?
Do you feel like there's a lot of pressure on you because you've been around for so long that you're relied on to make important decisions, or?
Yeah, well, okay. I see where you're alluding at. Sometimes there are times in my life where I figure I'm going to stay home and relax. I like to go to sleep early, and I like to get up early. And there are times when certain times when people ask, "Can I cover a commitment?" or "Could I do this? Could I get a ride?" And I don't like to say no. I don't say no. But I don't say no because I want people to like me. I don't say no because I want to help out. Yeah, sometimes it's overwhelming. And it's only thing that really overwhelms me is when I have to do something that I'll know keep me out past 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. How's that for an answer?
That's a good answer. How about watching people? I'm sure you've watched a lot of people get sober, but a lot of people not get sober. What?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of young men. I sponsor, as you know, I sponsor a lot of young guys now, and I have some older guys. And in the mix over there's a lot of them that start out really strong. They start out doing the steps. We start reading the book. We're really doing a good time. We're having a good time doing it. I involve with them. We'll go out to eat. We're reading. We'll do stuff together. And for the most part, they're doing good. One or two slip and they just kind of fly away, and that's okay with me too. I mean, it's not. I don't look at it as something that is my fault. I look at it as that's just the way it goes. They're through a learning process. Maybe they'll come back, and most of them, sometimes they do. I have two young guys that I was working with I have a piece of my heart is with them, and they're both not. Right now, they're both missing in actions, let's say, and it hurts me. But it's a lesson for me again. I'm learning about letting go. It's very difficult for me to let go of things that I think are important, and I'm learning that to let go is not to stop caring. It's just that I can't do it for someone else.
So, is there a common theme for people that you've seen not make it, that don't come back, that just can't appear to get sober?
The common thing is. Yes, the common thing is that I don't think they buy into the whole spiritual aspect of this program. For me, there's nothing in this program that's materialistic. Like I say before, I have a car, I have a house, I have friends, I have a great job and all that. That's all material stuff. I don't care about that. I mean, I care about it because it helps me, but I'm very into the whole spiritual aspect of it, how God helps me out. I pray every day in the morning. And I think that for the most part, the people that don't buy into this program don't buy into it because they lack the spirituality of the program. I think they think more about materialism.
And kind of leads me to this next question. Over the, 45 years you've been around? Something like that?
My
35? How long you been in AA?
28.
28 years. Have you seen any changes maybe in the way people get sober, people getting
Good
better?
question.
Has there been a shift? Maybe more people into the steps?
Yes.
More people don't go to meetings?
Very good question. Okay, in the last so many years, the way that people are getting sober is so different now. Way back in the beginning of my sobriety, we didn't sit down really and read the book with people. They did have big book meetings, and they had discussed the meetings, and we went through the steps actually. Like through a handbook or something, that kind of thing. And now we sit down with another sponsee and we read and we go through the steps and we talk about the big book and we even go through the 12 and 12. I think the biggest change right now is that on both ends of this spectrum of being not sober, there's a lot of young people coming in, lots of young people who I give so much credit to. But on the other hand, there's also a lot of older people, 55, 60 and over, who are starting to come back into first starting to come into the program. And I think that's a big bonus for the people that, like in the medium age. I started out when I was 45, and I'm still happily a member of AA. I mean, I can't see me being anything else. As much as the years passed that I always thought when I was drinking that I said, I am going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm so happy. I love drinking. I'm good at it. It doesn't bother me, until you realize that. But now I can't even imagine going back to drinking. There's a story in the big book about the guy with the slippers, and he worked. It was just like me. I worked for 25 years. I retired, and the best thing that ever happened to me was being in AA so I can handle my retirement.
What changes, if you could, make within AA or 12-step programs or maybe even rehabs?
I think that I'd like to see more awareness of the programs out in the community. I'd like to see more people not have a stigma of what an alcoholic is. I could use my family as a really good model, I think, that they see me. And like I say, my sister knows if I'm doing something, the first thing they'll want to know is, you got a meeting or do you have a commitment? And then they'll make sure that we can schedule the party or the appointment or whatever around it. I think that there's not enough of that going on in the world around us, let's just say, because people look down at us and saying, well, oh, you poor people, or you're different. They don't have the tolerance that we have of others.
Okay. And you're somebody that's so involved, right? So involved. Now, do you do this stuff because it makes you happy? Do you do this stuff because you feel like you need to do it for your own sobriety? Like, when is it enough? Like, when does Izzy get the kickback?
It's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. You know what I'm going to say about like taking someone through the steps. I take someone through the steps, and I want to make sure that that person does what I do for them, that they'll do for somebody else. It's a gift. I get choked up with this now. It's a gift that we have to pass on. There's no two ways about it. For some of the guys that I sponsor now, I make sure that they know that what I do for them, they have to do for someone else. And I want to make sure that they know how I act when I call my sponsor and I do things my way, that's how they would want their sponsees to do for them.
Do you think that the young people getting sober now, is it different from the young people getting sober in 99? Is it more life or death? Are they coming in more with drugs also? So
yeah, good question. I think right now that the young people that are coming in now are more into getting help. I think in the beginning, the people that came in the beginning came in because they were either mandated or because they thought they were going. They didn't really understand it. They thought maybe they're just going to get away with learning how to drink, or just because they're going to go to this program, they're going to be cured, and they're not going to be cured. So yes, they're more diligent about coming into the program now.
Are you happy with today's AA?
I couldn't be. Yes, more than happy. This is, like I said before, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I live this program for three things: to continue, to improve, and to practice. To continue my taking my inventory, making sure I'm doing the right thing, to improve my conscious contact with God, and to practice these principles in all my affairs. That's the way I live, and I thank God every morning. I make this joke. It's not a joke, but I make this statement all the time. I go over the bridge, I open the windows, I let God in, and we talk, and I'm so grateful. I'm a very grateful man. I'm going to be on the way home from now. I'm probably going to start crying how grateful I am.
Do you think will leave AA a better place than when you came in?
You mean when I die?
Well, whatever. I'm not.
No. I will never leave AA. No, I have too many people that I admire, too many people I look up to.
Okay, so when you're gone, Izzy, I'm not saying you're going anywhere, but like, would it be safe to say that you left AA a better place than when you came in?
150%.
Like, because of work that you have done?
Well, that's yes. For work that I've done and work that I've done with others, like a man like yourself. Yes. Thank you.
All right, so now let's just get right to it. Okay. There's a lot of talk about spirituality, and you're very spiritual. How does one obtain such spirituality? What is spirituality?
Spirituality
for Izzy.
Okay. Spirituality is just a presence of a higher power, of a presence of knowing that you have someone, faith in God, and when we say God, I call it my higher power, and love of a God, and that will help me. So I know that no matter what happens, if I follow what I think God wants me to do, at the end, I'll be rewarded with something good that happens. I think that spirituality is something that leads my life. I think that because of humility and responsibility, those two things help with my life going on, and it's all a reward from the spirituality. When I always also talk this little story that when I was a younger guy, my dad, he was a World War II veteran, and he was in Germany. He got lost in Germany. He was in trouble with the enemy, and he told me this story. And he came back. I said, Dad, you were pretty lucky that you got back from Germany. You didn't get killed. He says, no, Isaac. He said, I wasn't lucky. God brought me back. God chose me to get back. And just by thinking of that story, I always think that God chose me as one of his people to carry a message. And because of that, I will be the messenger, and I will do the best I can and be the best example I can. We say best example of the big book, but best example of the program that I could be.
And you feel connected with this high power of all times? Like
all the time.
Saying never alone when you're with...
I am with God is in my presence all the time, yes. God is in my heart. My mom always says, los corazones se hablan, the hearts speak. The heart, it always speaks. That means that if I'm speaking from the heart, that means God is with me. I won't lie to you. I'm going to tell you I don't lie to you. But I lie sometimes. But it's a white lie. But then I get caught in it and I feel bad, and you have to go back and fix it.
And before we close, how would your family describe Izzy today? If they were explaining Uncle Izzy or their brother Izzy.
Well, they know him in the program. They probably say they're happy to see that I'm recovered and I'm not the same person that I used to be. They used to make fun of me from the way that I would always get away with murder, let's just say. And now they know that I'm so responsible that I don't even have to worry. I don't have to call the lawyer anymore to get me out of trouble. Not that I was in trouble like that, but trouble with the family. My family probably, hopefully, looks up to me because they will ask me to take them places. They'll ask me to do stuff with them. I go on vacation with my family. I babysit. We're involved. We're very involved, and they love it.
Reliable?
Yeah, I am.
And if anybody needs a ride to the airport, you're willing to take them?
Depends on who it is. Now, of course. You? Yes, anytime.
So in closing, what do you want to say?
I just want to say how grateful I am for you for asking me to speak here. I'm more than grateful, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to try to make you feel good, but every morning when I pray, I thank God for you to be as being a friend of mine and being in my life. I thank God for just giving me the tolerance and the ability to show how I could work through God and help others, to show how spirituality works in myself through others.
Woo! And just for the people out there, if anybody's willing or that needs some help, you're willing to help them.
150%.
All right. So also you can reach SoberSundayPodcast.com, or you can reach out for myself or to Isaac or to Izzy. Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you.